You could just see our kids get a little bit overwhelmed in that second half. And as we go through film today and Monday and point out some of the mistakes and little things that we could have done better, that was beyond what Adams did. If we can manage our own affairs a little better, execute a little cleaner on both sides of the ball, particularly special teams, we will put ourselves in a better position to be successful on this Friday.
Were they doing anything in particular that was giving you fits? I mean, what was it about them that they were able to get that lead and keep it going?
Yeah, they just ran the ball in the second half. They had a big physical back, and he was able to get to the edge and just really 6 yards, 4 yards, 7 yards, and it just really was kind of a clinic on just controlling the football and moving the chains and keeping the other team from getting the ball. And that's what Adams did successfully. And like I said, they had some explosive players that made a couple big plays on special teams that really deflated our opportunity to come back.
Well, and, we've talked many times, if you're running the football that way, it has an emotional toll, too, because, it wears on you.
Yeah, it does. It does. But there were many good things. We had so many new kids on the field last night. It was fun to see their energy and excitement. And obviously, they were very upset after the game. When you get a team that, kind of embraces the mistakes that they made and realize that there's opportunities to improve. They didn't play as well as they wanted to. They didn't play as well as they needed to. But I really look at, like I said, I'm excited about this week and the progress that we can make from week 1 to week 2.
What in particular, what's going to be the coaching point? What do you feel like you got to get better at in the coming week?
Well, no doubt, offensive line. I felt that was going to be a part that we're going to have to carry us this year, and they just weren't able to get off the ball and move people like we thought they were going to be able to. And then defensively, we just got to continue to work on our tackling. We tackle high, we'd fall off, and this is a physical game that asks people to do things that are very unnatural, and it's why it's so great. And after the game last night, one of our players was so frustrated, and he says, "Coach, this is just so hard." And hell yeah, it's hard. That's exactly why we play the game, because it's hard. And he meant it in the best way. He wanted to play better. He wanted to execute better, but it's just hard. And helping the kids understand the mindset that you have to have going to a football game, and you can't hope for success. You can't wish for success. You got to dictate and determine. And that's something that Adams was able to do to us last night that we couldn't respond.
We were, like we said in the preseason show, when you go to play Adams, you really don't know what you're getting. They're going to have athletes. They're going to be gritty, and that's obviously what you saw.
Yeah, they were really excited, and I give their coaching staff credit. Their kids were dialed in. They made a few mistakes as well, but that's first game stuff. But we were not able to capitalize on their mistakes like they were ours. And again, the score is not indicative of how close that game was for 3 quarters. And like I said, we had a touchdown called back that would have given us the lead in second half, and it just didn't pan out that way for us.
Well, it doesn't get any easier this week either. Marion, once again, it's a traditional opponent for you guys. You played them a lot of times in a lot of years, and they're going to be a handful as well.
Yeah, no doubt. I really respect their staff. They do a great job up there. Their kids play hard, physical. It's important to them. Football is very important to that school, and we're going to go on the road again, so it's going to be a really tough contest for us. But like I said, excited to get this group back. We're going to be here meeting with them here in about 2 hours, and looking at the film and starting fresh this week. We got to just be 1-0, and we're looking forward to being 1-0 this week, 1 week at a time.
So that's the other part of that, too. You got a second road game. You got a third road game on first 3 games. Who made your schedule? You ought to talk to them. 3 road games in a row. That's a rough way to start.
Yeah, when you're not in a conference, we just got to pick up whatever games we can. And unfortunately, that's the way it rolled out this year. But that's all right. Fortunately, they're not real long trips. But we're just happy to have a chance to play. And our kids will be excited and looking forward to having a better effort and better execution this Friday than we did last night.
Well, Coach, thanks for taking the time this morning, and good luck to you next week. We'll be talking during the week for the Thursday show, and we'll catch up with you then.
Hey, I appreciate you, Rusty. And despite the outcome last night, the sun comes up today. It's still going to be a great day to be an Eagle, and we're going to get after it.
That's it. Coach Andy Dorrel from the Culver Academy, and stay there. We'll be right back.
Your morning, it deserves more than just coffee. It deserves Big coffee. From velvety lattes to our famous sweet foam cold brews, every sip is brewed with love, laughter, and a splash of fun. All first responders and veterans receive a free brewed coffee and 20% off their entire order. Students and teachers receive 10% off with a valid school ID. Have the best day ever by stopping in to your family favorite local coffee shop where every cup comes with a smile and every day starts brighter. Stop in today and let's make it a big day. Big B Coffee, have the best day ever, located on Columbus Drive in Plymouth.
Culver's Portside Marina handles all water and recreational needs. When it comes to pontoons, Godfrey leads the industry in performance and quality, and Portside Marina has them in stock. From Sanpan, Aqua Patio, Sweetwater, and Monaco pontoons, if you're looking for a family boat, Culver's Portside Marina can help. Discover the evolution of the wake boat through luxury models offered from Centurion and Supreme Surf Boats. Yamaha Wave Runners and Kawasaki jet skis are on the showroom floor waiting. Located at 514 West Mill Street in Culver. Stop in or call them at 574-842-5000. Culver's Portside Marina.
And we are back live. Coach Austin Foust with me from Culver here. It's preseason for all of us. So the mistake you just heard on the air, that's my preseason. So, Coach, you had a pretty good open to yours, though.
Yeah, it was a nice start to our season. Long bus trip, but coming back with a W for our kids.
Yeah, win is a win. I used to hear all the time, and that's got to be good to come away with what you got. I mean, especially 26-7, and you had a lot of guys coming back, but you had a lot of question marks too, and that's got to be helpful moving forward to have had a good performance like that.
Yeah, we did. We jumped out to a 20-0 kind of halftime lead, and we kind of sputtered a little bit in the second half. There was probably 3 or 4 possessions where we're right around inside the red zone, just couldn't finish. And then they on a 4th down play inside the red zone, they kind of threw up a fade, and we had 2 guys there. He went to the ground. He comes down, ball kind of comes out, but they say he had possession, touchdown kind of thing. So, we were real close to a shutout. So our kids played really well. We just had a lot of cramping issues. It was kind of a long football game because both sides had guys that were cramping, and Attica likes to throw the ball a lot, so a lot of incompletions and things. So, it made for a long night, but we found some things with some guys. And, I think some of our guys with the question marks that we had that not ever playing high school football before on a Friday night, I thought we got some of those answers figured out, and, it was nice to see.
Well, to be that close to a shutout, too, I mean, that's anymore, that is really a big deal. I mean, you just don't see teams. There's so much emphasis on offense these days. It's just very difficult to shut a team out.
Yeah, no, it is. We told our kids, it was one of those, we're never going to apologize for winning, right? It wasn't the perfect game. It wasn't a pretty game at times, but, it's hard to win a football game, let alone, like you said, try to shut somebody out, especially a team like Attica, because they're spread, they want to throw the ball, they're no huddle. So their coaches, they're quick to the line at sometimes. Other times they're maybe a little bit slower, but he's trying to see, where guys are lined up, and he's trying to get his kids in the best position possible. And, we thought with our D-line of Theron Carrington, Isaiah Vela, Skylar Greer, and Colton Falk that we could get after the quarterback. So we just wanted to keep everything in front of us with our DBs, and they were going to dink and dunk us some, and they did that. And, we were okay with that, even though, my defensive coordinator screaming in the headsets, God, we got to move up. We got to go man. It's like, nope, we're okay. We're okay. Let's, again, this is what we said we were going to let them do, make them earn it. We didn't think consistently, they were going to be able to, make plays and move the ball and credit to their quarterback. He was a freshman and he was consistent. I mean, he was fine with just taking the short stuff. But, our D-line put a lot of pressure on them, caused them to, I think we probably had, 6 or 7 sacks. They probably ended up, I would say, maybe right around negative yards rushing, if not. It can't be very many if they did. If they did, it was kind of late on some QB scrambles. So, our defense played really well.
Talk about your offense. Evidently, they played well, especially in the first half, putting up 26 that first night. That's not a bad number.
No, it's not. We played well. Jonas McEwen obviously kind of running the quarterback spots. We had Isaiah Gonzalez kind of getting really his real first taste at running back. He ran for a touchdown. He had a nice night. He had some cramping issues and things, but he ripped off some big plays for us. Sophomore John Carr. He was somebody that, we thought was going to carry the rock, maybe has the best with our upperclassmen, kind of running back kind of feel. I thought he ran the ball really well last night and gave us some good carries. Isaiah Gonzalez had a touchdown run. And then Jonas McEwen, right before half, rolled out and hit Braylon Jackson on probably, maybe like a 10, 12 yard kind of pass. And Braylon's a kid that's got track speed, and he put his foot in the ground and saw the defense kind of overcommitted and went really all the way back across the field, probably for a 40, 50-yard touchdown run right before the half, which was huge. Then we had Jonas McEwen. He kind of showed that he could run the ball. We've joked kind of for 3 years with Jonas that, man, if we had a quarterback that could run the ball here, like this would be a great play. Like if we could do this or, and that kind of thing. And he carried the ball probably the most he's had in his career and, willing and able to. And he's an athletic kid, and that's what we've been saying for 3 years. And, even last night, kind of late in the game, we're trying to kill the clock and we're running a play and, they kind of know, hey, we're handing the ball off, we're running the ball. And he's like, hey, coach, can I just read this guy and pull it? Like, yeah, you can. And, he probably rolled off another 20 yards on that play, which is just huge when you're trying to kill the clock. And, the defense is coming down hard on your running back like that. And then to get our last touchdown, we had Caleb McEwen, our little we do a kind of double handoff. We hand off to the running back. Running back comes back and hands it off to the wing on a little counter play to Caleb. And he scored on that. It was probably a 40, 50-yard touchdown run to kind of break it open. And in the second half, we were kind of sputtered a little bit, but he took it and put us up 26-0. So, we played really well all night long. A couple turnovers we got to get. With some fumbles and things, we got to get that fixed. And then I guess I should have said too, on the other side of the ball, Jonas McEwen had 2 interceptions. So, that was huge for defensively. He had one right at the goal line, probably at the 1-2 yard line to save a possible touchdown score. So, really it was a great team effort.
I'm sure you had a few coaching points. I mean, I've been around coaches all my life. There's always something that you need to work on. What's on your list to start working on this week?
Yeah. You get a 2-hour bus ride home, right? There's a lot of times you can kind of think, right, rattle off a whole list. But I think our biggest one, it really kind of too is and it's everybody's first week, but the conditioning part a little bit. Again, we had some guys cramping up. We've got to find a little bit more depth too as well. We were playing too many guys both ways, and not that our kids can't do it, but we obviously have we have big numbers and things, and we got to try to kind of find some guys that maybe can spells for a player here and give credit to Attica. A 1A ball club that probably has 10 8, 10 to 9 guys playing both ways. I mean, they went no huddle, and they did a really good job of making it to where we couldn't sub. Where we wanted to, if you wanted to try to get a D lineman out, you couldn't do it. So, but yeah, that was one of those things.
You tell them to hydrate, and they just don't listen, do they?
No, never seems to work as much as possible here.
I know you had a lot of young guys that you're pretty excited about as the year goes on. How did you feel about your younger guys?
Yeah, I thought they did. I thought they did really well. Colton Falk played both ways as a freshman, and he made some plays in the backfield. And then also we had Matthew Bloomquist that came in and spelled some guys at tight end, and he, that's a kid that's had a really nice summer for us. Where you put a freshman in, and it's nice where you could just say, "Hey, Matthew, we need you to go in," and there's no questions. There's no, "Coach, what do I do on this?" So we had young guys out there on special teams that got their first kind of experience. So overall, we're really pleased.
Well, it doesn't get any easier this week either. I mean, West Central, Mark Hall's doing a great job there. We've had a couple of really good years in a row, and the bad news again is too, you're going to be on the road again. So West Central's a task.
Yeah, they are. They had a big win against Winnemac for the rivalry game and play for the Tomahawk, and was able to watch a little bit of film before I went to bed last night, and they played really well. They were fast and just come downhill and put a lot of pressure on you. So we got our work cut out for us. I think our kids are excited for this one. That's one we thought we kind of let get away last year. So hopefully we can kind of return the favor as we go over there.
How do you feel about where you're at right now? Is this where you wanted to be at this point? I mean, I know it's always a progression over the course of the year, but I mean, are you checking the check marks at this point?
Yeah, I think so. I think defensively, especially offensively, maybe we got a little bit more room, but I think some of that's more just having guys that, haven't had that Friday night taste. So that little bit kind of a football night, that kind of football feel when you're out there, like, hey, this is kind of what happens. We got to be able to do this or do that. I think we're maybe missing that a little bit, but that's just going to come with time and experience and playing. So, I think we're on that trajectory where, every coach wants to be. We're getting better every week.
Well, man, get better this week and have a good game next week. And we'll be in touch for the Thursday night show. And good luck to you.
All right. Thanks, Rusty. I appreciate it.
Austin Foust, the head football coach at Culver Community. And stay there. We'll be right back. And we're back. Saturday morning coaches show. I'm Rusty Nixon, joined in this segment by Adam Handley, head football coach at Plymouth. And not really the way you wanted it to go last night. Just a lot of, it seemed like a really strange game to me. It was like two people just slugging each other for a full night. And a couple of breaks went their way, and it's 20-3.
Yeah, before we could blink, it got to 23 in the second half. I mean, 3-3 at halftime. We didn't feel like we played our best half of football. I mean, our defense kept us in the game, and offensively we were just sort of struggling a little bit. And then we talked at halftime, had a plan going in the second half, and didn't really execute like we wanted to.
It's not often you see two 48-yard field goals in a high school football game either. I mean, that was their first two scores. They're lining up for that first one, and Joe and I are like, well, maybe we ought to have somebody down there in the end zone to catch it when it's short, and it wasn't. That's a weapon. That's got to be demoralizing to play as well defensively as you did that whole first half, and then you go in and have tied.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I was pleased defensively, and we, like I said, for a kid to line up for a 40-plus yard field goal twice, after some drives or turnovers, or again, I don't exactly remember what happened after the second one, but it was, we were okay. Like, I felt that was a win. Going even 6-3, I felt like we were still playing really well, and we just never got the train moving on offense.
Talk about your defense a little bit, because that was the bright spot of the night. You just had everything working. You were stopping them. They couldn't really get anything going. They were able to hit that counter play a few times, but it was just a bit it wasn't like they were just gashing you all night long.
Yeah, I mean, definitely that was their answer. They were using our speed against us defensively. I mean, we talked about it all summer and off season about our strength of our defense is probably our speed, and they were using some misdirection to kind of get us off balance, and that was their best play. So at halftime we talked about it, right? And sure enough, they came back to it in the second half, and I think they only ran it 2 times because we stuffed it, and so they had an answer and tried to have an answer for it. And the one long run they had to score, and then this, I don't know, it was the third or fourth quarter, was just 2 missed tackles, just 2 mis-executed, not fundamental tackles, and then that's all it takes in a game of football, right? One missed tackle, and then you leave a guy a seam or a crease, and he's gone.
That was obviously our game of the week. And, I remember last year watching Lathan Cotton develop over the course of the year. He was our player of the game. And, in my mind, your linebackers as a whole had a really, really good night. And he in particular just seemed to – he was making their quarterback's life not that much fun.
Yeah, no doubt. I think, all off season, he's been kind of the leader of that crew. And he's lengthy, and and he actually has been battling a shoulder injury. Didn't really practice much at all this week either. So we weren't really sure what we were going to get out of him last night. But he kind of bucked up. He's a senior that said, "I'm gonna find a way to help out and contribute." And like I said, kept us in the game, made some big plays, and ultimately, played pretty well.
You started doing something a little bit different with Kleindienst on the front as well, moving him around from one side to the other. What was the design on that? Is just try to get them a little confused and get him a little more opportunity, because he had a lot better second half.
Yeah, I think what a lot of teams are going to do to us is find where John's at and make sure that they offensively scheme their plan against John. So we tried to move him to end, tried to move him to nose, tried to move him to the far side end, just to give him, again, going up against different guys, and then again having the offensive staff on the other team just play the guessing game. Played well. Like I said, I think we'll get to the film here in a few, but I think ultimately we didn't execute the game plan, and we'll have to get back to the drawing board today and see what the plan is.
And I know Joe mentioned he thought your secondary, your guys in pass defense had a nice night too. And I can remember Medrano made a couple of nice plays. When they did get that counter, he stayed home and made a tackle. It seemed like they had a really nice game.
Yeah, I mean, other than the long ball in the first drive, that it was 3rd and 20 or whatever. Yeah. The jump ball that they threw up. Other than that, I don't think they had a whole lot of downfield completions. And when you're playing against a team like that, and again, half of our schedule, our corners and safeties got to get down and tackle. So it was nice to see a couple times where they came down and tackled, and there were still some times we didn't, right? So I think that there's some things we got to check and fix this morning as well.
I was going to say, even that jump ball, that was just a good play by their receiver. It was covered. There, you had guys there. He just went up and high pointed it. It was like a clinic.
Yep, it wasn't a missed coverage. Obviously, we want any 50-50 ball like that. We want our guys to either come down with it or be on the ground, and that kid made a great catch for sure.
Talk about the offense. I mean, the turnovers. You're not going to win any game throwing that many interceptions. I know you haven't had a chance to really break the film down, but what you saw when you looked at it again last night, what did you see?
Yeah, I mean, offensively, interceptions are drive killers, obviously, but they're just momentum killers too, right? You feel like you're putting something together in a drive, and an interception obviously is a turnover, but it's just momentum. The air, you could feel after the first one was kind of like, oh man, not again, one of those feelings. And then I felt like we got the next drive. Even after that next drive, we were able to get a couple first downs and move the ball again. And so I think, a couple of them were just late. A couple of them were just, didn't trust the concept or trust his throw. I mean, think about a kid that's first varsity experience, and, he's a little shaken up and just, a little pregame nerves, which is understandable and accepted, and throws the first pick. Of course, you're going to worry about not wanting to throw another one, right? So we finally got through that and had a couple decent completions between the two. And then, again, just a late throw over the middle. And again, that safety was there to pick it off again.
There were a couple of them that, like you said, it was just not a good read. But couple of those look like they might be mechanical. I think the first one especially just looked like the ball sailed on him. I mean, it looked like he read the right guy and was thrown at the right place. It just,
he was open.
Yeah, and it just sailed on him.
Little sail, and I think just a little. It was a combination. Again, those seam balls, probably we call them level 1 balls. It's got to be more on a line than kind of floated out there. I mean, again, ultimately, there's a free safety in the middle of the field, just playing center field.
Yeah.
And when you put plenty of air underneath it, it's really easy to go underneath it and catch it. So it's just some adjustments that we got to talk with him and say, hey, when we see the seam open, it can't be air it out, throw it long. It's got to be on a line right at him. And again, he was open. We ran that play twice last night. He was open both times. So,
what is going to be the coaching points this week? What things do you feel like you got to get better at?
Yeah, we need to get back to the basics. We need to get back to offensively. We just need to get back to what is our MO and what we can do, and how we can move the ball. And if that's our zone schemes, gap schemes, whatever you think. Or whatever we think is necessary to get the job done. But that's the MO on offense. And then defensively, we got to keep doing what we're doing. Obviously, Columbia City is not going to throw the ball if they don't have to. I'm pretty sure they had 0 passing yards last night. And they said from my understanding, ran the same play about 45, 50 times against Northwood. So they're not going to do anything that's going to be fancy. They're not going to do anything that's going to wow anybody. They're just going to try to run it right down their throat. And we got to be able to stop it.
How about things that you thought last night you did well, things that you're really happy with?
Yeah, I think like I said, defensively we were flying the ball. Obviously, we'd like a turnover. I mean, that second series where we had the quarterback flushed out and they called it a fumble. Actually, we got to come up with that one, right? We forced the fumble, ball rolls out of bounds. We got to find a way to that. That's our football, right? So we preached turnovers on defense. We preached, getting the football, and I was pleased with how we pursued the ball. Obviously, we need to get better in certain situations and knowing down and distance and that kind of stuff. And then offensively, I think there were some bright spots. I think Finn ran the ball hard, but we've got to give Finn the opportunity to break a couple here and there. And if we're not executing up front to get the job done, then we're going to find someone that's going to. I think our call it 2-minute, call it hurry up, whatever. Obviously, they were in a prevent shell, but I felt like we executed that pretty well when we needed to. We hadn't really practiced it at all. I mean, it's one of those things you want to get done, but you also need to make sure we're executing the basics. So I felt like our hurry up, get on the ball, run a play. We ran well. Obviously, it didn't end in a score, but we were able to move the ball, 60, 70 yards downfield pretty quickly. So there were some positives we saw in that too. Talk
about that a little bit too, because I remember a few years ago when Xander was first starting, you did that with him, would run that hurry up, and it seemed to put a spark in him. And there was a reason behind why that works for them. It makes everybody a little bit more focused, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think when you're hurrying up and getting on the ball, it doesn't allow defenses to get schemes and blitzes and twists and all that kind of stuff in, but it also doesn't allow our kids to start overthinking, right? They're on the ball, they hear the word of the play, and they don't have anything they got to run it, right? It's not right. Like hey, I'm going to wait for the play, I'm going to get the play in the huddle, I'm going to waddle my way to the line and think about what's going to happen. Like, you don't have that opportunity to think about that. They've got to get to the line and execute it. So, we definitely something we'll talk about this week, but that's something we need to play around with a little bit to get us some vanilla defenses, and that helps our offense, and maybe we do, but we'll like I said, we'll get to it this weekend and put together a plan for Columbia City.
Well, like you just said, you don't have it easy either coming up this week. I mean, Columbia City is the real deal. They have been for a number of years now, and they beat Northwood, which always gets your attention.
Sure.
And they were at Northwood, so that's another one. It's a tough one. You got to go over there and play them, and that's going to be tough for you.
Yeah, like I said, Brett's done a good job with that program over there. They've won a lot of games of late, and it's what, like I said earlier, what he's going to run isn't going to be surprising. It's not going to be anything fancy or flashy. It's going to be power football under center. Here we come, and then we've got to find a way to get up underneath shoulder pads and make stops and, make them earn their yards. not identical to the Warsaw, Wawasee, Mishawaka stuff, but very similar, pedigree and on how they want to run things. And like I said last night, they had 0 passing yards. I'm not sure how many passing attempts they had, but they had 0 passing yards. And that's, if you come out with a win in that style of football with 0 passing yards, coaches of that are very pleased.
Well, good luck to you this week, and we'll be in touch during the week for the Thursday show, and we'll go from there.
Appreciate it, Rusty. Thanks again.
Adam Handley, head coach at Plymouth. And don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We're going to talk soccer in a moment with Ty Adley, the head coach of the Argos Lady Dragons, and we'll be right back.
Who do I perform for? I perform for all the awesome composers whose music deserves to be heard.
I perform for all the stagehands who make sure I never miss a cue.
I perform for our high school choir director, who taught me to breathe from the diaphragm and sing from the heart.
Speech, debate, theater, music. The performing arts teach valuable life lessons that typically aren't taught in the classroom. They help high school students learn leadership skills that prepare them to enjoy more satisfying, productive lives.
I perform for Mrs. Evans, my high school debate coach, who has helped me become more confident than I ever dreamed possible.
This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the high school in your community.
Hey, I've got a question for you. Who will you perform for?
Johnson Danielson Funeral Home has been established in the community of Plymouth since 1879, and its staff is committed to providing care that goes beyond the expected in serving today's families who call Marshall County their home. They welcome families seeking options and alternative ways to pay tribute to someone, from burial packages to pre-planning to planning a checklist. The professionals, along with caring staff at Johnson Danielson, are available to assist your family 24 hours a day by simply calling 574-936-2829. Visit their website at johnsondanielson.com for a complete list of services. Johnson Danielson Funeral Home. Service beyond expectation.
And joining us in this segment of the Saturday Morning Coaches Show, Ty Adley, the head coach of the Lady Dragons in Argos in soccer. And opening night last night, and went, I imagine, rather well. You ended in a tie, but you probably learned some things at least.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great to be a part of the Plymouth home opener. We managed to get an opportunity to play after the rainstorm Monday, Tuesday up at Trinity in South Bend. So that was a great opportunity. Took some lessons and learning opportunities from there, began to apply them over here at Plymouth. And like you said, ended up in a 1-1 tie. But we made some great strides, and Plymouth's got a great program. So it's always good to see those two teams come together and have a good battle for the ball.
Yeah, that's been a rivalry for decades. I mean, that's a game that both teams circles on their schedule, and you got a little extra reason too. I mean, you've got the ounce of prevention, so you've got the breast cancer awareness thing going on. That's got to be a nice way to get your season going.
Oh, absolutely! It's always been a great time. Coaching relationships go back as far as you can remember. So it's always exciting to get that going. Good friendly competition, not only between the girls, but the coaches themselves, just knowing each other. Then kind of getting into being able to raise some great fun and great awareness for ounce of prevention here in the county. They've been able to bless us with some unique uniforms on both sides that we alternate back and forth on each year, depending on who hosts. So it's just a nice little something extra getting that year off and started.
Let's talk about your off season a little bit, since you're only a couple of games in. It's relatively early. I mean, you're a second year coach, but it's not like you were a stranger to the program. You'd been an assistant for a while. You knew the girls. But still, there's that communication thing that goes on, between a team and their new coach. How do you feel that's going?
I think it's going pretty well. I've strived really hard throughout the coaching career to build relationships and everything from that standpoint. So being able to kind of flip that switch from an assistant to a head, it's gone really well. But there comes a time where there's a difference between an assistant that's able to have a lot of those conversations and get the time to be able to ask the whys and what's going on and how can we get from where we're at today to where we need to be tomorrow, to go into the head coach side of, all right, tactically and technically, where do we need to be? How do we need to look at attacking things, and having to look more at a whole group aspect, and unfortunately not getting as much individual time to have those kinds of conversations when you've got to look at the program as a whole.
How do you feel your off-season went? Were you happy with what you got accomplished?
We managed to accomplish a few things. Unfortunately, the weather this summer has been a bit of a bear.
Yeah.
We managed to set up several opportunities where we can get some teams from around the northern portion of the state to come in and set up over there at the Argos Summer Kickoff Festival. But unfortunately, at that point, we had some nasty heat rolling through at that point with heat indexes and those sorts of things. So we had a couple teams that had to bow out. So we ended up canceling it. So we lost a couple games during that time period in June, which would have been fantastic to have before we rolled into the 1st of July moratoriums over the 4th holiday.
Yeah.
And so that would have been real nice to have kind of going into it, seeing what we got a little bit more. So that kind of pushed us off 2, 3, 4 weeks going into July. But I think the girls are definitely coming around mid-late July. And we were able to pull some things together, and it's working well for us. Now it's just trying to get all the girls firing on the same cylinders at the same time. Technically, the girls are looking solid, but trying to get them to work together as a team is always the biggest portion at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, and there's no substitute for playing games either. I mean, you can practice all you want to, but you can't simulate game speed and game intensity without playing a game.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. It's one of those, there's definitely no replacement for it. And so losing a couple of those game opportunities through the summer when you need to get the girls used to touches. We've got a pretty good-sized freshman class that came in this year. So excited to see those numbers kind of rebounding and coming back up after a couple of years of lower numbers in the program historically. And so what those girls need is just time.
Yeah.
Getting those opportunities. Unfortunately, those girls in the middle of our program, our sophomores and juniors, really could have benefited from those additional touches and time. But when the numbers are down and you're kind of below that 20 person mark, it's hard to play 2 games back to back. But this year we're forcing it and making it work, and just being over that 20 kid threshold, allowing us to do at least a half. And so we were able to get a lot of the girls last night at Plymouth some additional opportunity that may not reach it into those varsity matches. So I think that's going to start paying off dividends for us as we go forward in the future. And we've got a bright future in our junior high program headed up by Brandon Schaefer. And so seeing those girls and the opportunity to get them some additional time as they come forward in the future is going to be really nice.
Talk about your girls a little bit. I mean, I'm sure you got some folks back that you're going to be looking to and leaning on a little bit, and some people that are coming on that maybe might have surprised you a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've got some stellar defenders that are coming back, and Emily Pippinger, she's coming off an injury, so we're kind of slowly working her back into the process. But we've got Sam Umball, Leah Pizzuto, and Avery Hines just being absolutely phenomenal defenders and some all-around players for us. That's making a big difference. And then you got Hannah Willis and Ellie Bollenbacher out of the midfield, being able to help show that composure and control that ball movement is being huge for that junior and senior class. Then up front, we're bringing back Elena Conklin, who's had a knack for being able to find the goals and finding those opportunities, and kind of working her a little bit more this year to kind of take a little bit more of a leadership role up top for us.
So far, are you where you wanted to be? I mean, are you at the point you wanted to be this point in the season?
I'd say we're just behind where I'd like to be. we've got a good, strong schedule, and we pride ourselves on playing some good competitive competition where we're not playing teams that are too far out of our league, one direction or the other, where you're going 6+ goals in a game. Those thrillers, those learning opportunities are really coming in, anything between a 2-0 game to a 1-1 tie. So Trinity is an excellent competition for us. The program's really come a long way in the last 8 seasons. So glad to see where they're going. So that gives us a good benchmark going into the season, with that being the first game. And then, like we said, Plymouth's always a knockdown, drag-out fight. So it's always a great second game, kind of helping set the tone in the season for the girls. Kind of then working into a series of different teams as we move forward here through the remainder of August.
What do you think you got to get better at to get where you want to be?
I'd say we need to work a little bit more on our composure and being able to handle the ball a little bit more. Right now we're playing quick, but we're playing quick to an unfortunate degree where we're not necessarily looking to find our teammates. We're sending the ball up rather than passing and working the ball around. So that's something we're working on. And that's just one of those chemistry things where it comes with time. And so I expect that to continue to grow and flourish as they continue to make progress throughout the season. And at this point, it's getting ready for those conference games and those sectional games as well, when the rubber starts to really meet the road.
Well, Coach, I want to thank you for spending some time with us, and we'll get in touch again here as the season goes on and catch up with you guys and how you're doing.
Sounds perfect. I greatly appreciate it, and thanks for having me on, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
That is Ty Adley, the head coach of the Lady Dragon soccer program at Argos, and we will be right back. And welcome back in Saturday Morning Coaches Show, just in front of 8 o'clock. Coming up at 8 o'clock, we'll talk with Jeff Kaiser, LaVille. Also have conversations with Justin Bogunia, the Bremen head football coach. Andy Barker with Triton will join us in the 8 o'clock hour, along with Ron Brown, a big winner last night, the head coach at Glenn. Take a quick look at the scores. LaVille got a win over Triton last night, shut them out 28-0. It was Glenn 43-0 over Boone Grove. Churubusco 36 and Bremen 7. As we talked a little earlier, these games, we've already talked to the coaches. Valley 20-3 over Plymouth. Culver with a win last night, 26-7, and Culver Academy fell to Adams by a final of 28-7. Also coming up in the next hour, we'll talk with Argos soccer coach Todd Weele. We had a chance to talk with him a little bit earlier in the week, and we will name the first ever winner of our Tony the Boss Ross Athlete of the Week award. That all coming up in the next hour. It's going to start with Jeff Kaiser right after we get back from this break. You're listening to Max 98.3. And we're back, Saturday Morning Coaches Show. It's just in front of 8 o'clock, 7:57 to be exact. Jeff Kaiser, head football coach at LaVille, joins us, and good win for you guys last night.
Yeah, it's a good quality win. You know, anytime you get that week 1 win, it's huge because you all summer long you've worked on things that you think are going to work, and you get that win in week 1. Guys believe in everything we're directing and trying to get them to do, and you start playing a little bit faster as the game goes, and but yeah, good quality win. Gets a good quality opponent in Triton, in front of a really, really big crowd. It was a really great atmosphere.
Well, talk about the defense, first of all. I mean, that's a LaVille thing. I mean, for years, the defense is what you guys have hung your hat on. You get a shutout, and, I've talked to a lot of coaches over the years. They say, I had a couple of them tell me they thought the day of the shutout was gone because there's so much emphasis on offense in the game, but you were able to get a shutout against a really good offense.
Yeah. The other night, we all met and had our meeting down there in Plymouth at Yellow River. You asked me about the defense, and I said, it was something we lacked a little bit last year, I felt. And it's been a little bit more focus and not necessarily more time, just more detail oriented. Got back to some of the basics as a staff, and Triton's got weapons, and that goose egg is huge against a team that can really get some solid one-on-ones and stretch you out, and diverse. And I felt like our guys understood the scheme, and we're able to play to their abilities, and prevented Triton from getting in. And honestly, there was about one time where they were kind of threatening to score right before half. We eased up just a little bit as far as the aggression to not give up a cheap score before going in a half. And when you do that, guys get a little complacent. Start watching the clock a little bit, and so that's something we got to shore up as far as just because we ease up some of the intensity as far as packages doesn't mean we get flat-footed. So I was pleased. I mean, anytime you come away and with that zero, you're secure to win.
Yeah, I was going to say they have two running backs who are the real deal, and I know their quarterback's a little inexperienced, but he's incredibly athletic as well. And to be able to bottle those guys up, that's a big deal.
Yeah, those names, Riffle, Overmeyer, Vinny, those guys they're studs. I mean, they're athletes, and you get them on the field, and man, one wrong move, and those guys find the seam, and they're gone. And I felt like, Overmeyer, he had, 16 touchdowns and 1,300 yards last year. I mean, he's no slouch. And I felt we really bottled him up. He popped a couple, nothing major. And that's just a credit to our team, our team pursuit we had. And playing assignment football, not giving him that edge, per se. And making him have some contact in every play.
Talk about your offense now, because you got to be kind of happy with him putting 28 on the board in week one. That's a nice number.
Yeah, really nice number. We felt like there was a couple that we didn't get, and it was by our own fault. Those are the things you got. You have to shore up, and you got to teach the kids, and starting to we potentially could have been up, but we felt 21 at half. And, nothing against what Triton wasn't doing, but we found something, and we just shot ourselves in the foot, a couple times and stalled the drive. And then, we were driving the ball back down late midway through the second, and we fumbled the ball. We had momentum, and we had them on our heels. And, so potentially 21, IOC says 28. But, at the end of the day, we went up 14-0, but, we settled in. I mean, things we didn't do. We ran some right routes, just a little bit overthrew them. One went through a gentleman's hand in stride, and he was wide open. Those are just things that you have to have that connection. And it's understandable week one. I mean, you scratch your head and you don't want it. When you sit back and watch film and like, listen, it's August 22nd. And those are plays that we have to make after this week now, because you got it on film, you've executed where you can, and it's just one of those things that we shore a few things up, and it could have been even better.
I'm sure there's some things that are on the coaching points though for this week. I mean, what did you see that you feel like we just got to get better at that?
Up front, consistency up front. I felt we didn't get some creases, in the trench there where we needed for our running backs pop through. And that's something that, as the season goes, it's going to hurt us. Because the running will open up the passing, likewise passing opens up the running. So I felt like up front, we just got to get a little more consistent. I think it's just a few missed assignments. I think execution, the kids are working hard. It's just a few missed assignments, attention to detail. But if we can shore that stuff up, I think it gets our running game going in a little higher gear. And, we all know you got to run the football, win games. So that's something that we really feel that we got to concentrate on.
Did anybody surprise you last night, maybe step up in a way you didn't expect?
Well, I was really pleased with Schwitz, our quarterback, in his first start. He threw some nice balls. He overthrew some, but he settled in, run the offense. There was a few times he was making the play call. He audibled a couple times, which is impressive week one. Especially his first start. I mean, he's understanding the process, right? And so, and he has that green light. I mean, we have some automatics to check into, and he identified them. So he impressed me. Noah Menace, tight end, that's some nice catches, and he's a nice big body there that can make those plays. Cole Stafford ran the ball hard. Triton's defense no slouch. I mean, those guys fly around just like they do on. It's a lot of the same guys. A lot of the same guys going both ways. So, Cole ran hard and made some plays. He's got to shore up his fumble, and he will. I mean, he understood. The thing is, a few plays before that, I told him put the ball away. I could see it. Yeah. We had a change of pace. Running back come in third quarter. Lawrence Wood. He came in and ran for 81 yards in basically a quarter and a half. So that's a price by the sophomore. And so we have a lot of bodies, Rusty, on that offensive side, and generally both sides. We're talking offense, but this is the first time in our lives. So you're always worried if they go on or they're going to get caught in it. We talked about that. Be the moment or get caught in the moment. And we had one penalty last night, and week one penalties. Really nice. Yeah. And that was basically, it was a face mask, and it was a hustle play. It's one of those things, kids getting to the edge, and, outside linebacker's coming up and goes to wrap the guy up, gets hand on the mask. And, shake it off. You don't want it, especially on third down. But if you're going to penalty, you want to hustle penalty, not a lack of, not knowing your assignment and misalignment and this and that. And, we ran a lot of different formations. So I felt guys were locked in and knowing where to line up, and, tribute to my, OC, Nick Roseland, having those guys sharp, and I felt we managed the game well as a staff. And then we felt we were getting a little gassy time, called timeout. We had a kid come out and so we put a different body in, and formation just didn't quite look right. And, we called timeout, settle the guys down. Just because the body came in doesn't mean, it's 911. Settle down, what you're supposed to do, communicate, and the guys did. I think it called timeout, and we went back out, and I don't know if it's the next play or two plays later, we're putting points on the board. So, I thought we, as a staff, we managed the game well and just had a really solid game plan going in.
It's got to give you a level of confidence, too, because, you got guys coming back who've been in the glare of those lights before, but, you had a lot of question marks with some guys in some key spots, and it looks like they came through the opening night pretty well.
They did. And we talked about, some of these guys, it's their first game, it should be their worst game. And there's really nobody that stood out that we could say, man, they just didn't play very well. Now, granted, you have a different feeling because, you got the win and, you feel good. But when you step back and you decompress as a coach and start evaluating film, and I can't say, man, this kid struggled tonight, and that's very satisfying. We rotated some bodies in. I'm not saying it was just 11 guys, right? So, there's always things you got to shore up, but I can't say that there was anybody that played bad, and I credit, Braden Foster in the middle and the defense. He's a general, he's a coach out there, and, watching him direct and moving guys around and seeing, hey, you're out of position, you got to widen out a little bit, or hey, get up in here, and those are things that you want to see every day, every Friday night and practice and that. And I felt like he settled right in like he should, being a senior and playing there. But his leadership and directing guys is very satisfying. I think it really helps amp up that defense a little bit.
You feel like you're ahead of the curve at this point, or maybe right where you want to be? How do you feel about where you're at?
Well, like we touched base a little bit ago, week one win is huge. And, I do like where we're at based on those 48 minutes. But our next 48 minutes, what are we going to do? Yeah. How are we going to respond to that? And how, that 48 minutes is gone now. We're going to be coming in film and some weights and some stretch and run we do on Saturdays, and we're back to work. And that's just, no matter who our opponent is, no matter what we've done, we come in and get back to work. So, there should be a little pep in the step this morning. Boys are going to be sore. There's no doubt about it. But, I like the feel of 1-0 versus 0-1 going into week two. That's definitely helps the focus, the drive, the want to get out there and continue to get better. So I'm preparing for a solid week of practice and the task we're going to have at hand.
It's funny you mentioned the next 48 minutes because it's just about to ask you about that. It's coming up. You got to go on the road to Judson. This is not only are they, they took one on the chin last night from Knox, so they're going to have a chip on their shoulder already. But this has become a nice little rivalry between the two you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of respect for Coach Lambert and their program, those guys over there and that whole staff, and it has, Rusty. It's been really a good small school rival, no different than last night's was. But, Judson and us has played for some hardware several years now. And it's always fun because they're going to be well prepared. When we're well prepared, it's going to be a war. But, I watched film last night and was watching film this morning on him. And, I wish I had Russ's phone number because I'm a yell at him for poking that hornet's nest because Coach Lambert, them boys probably never went home last night. They're probably out there working under the lights, practicing and figuring it out. But that score's deceiving. I mean, Judson's a much better team than what that score shows, and Lambert's going to figure it out. And it's one of those things. Like I said, week one, you start jumping on somebody, and teams will roll with that. And that's one thing Knox did, and Knox is a very, very good team, and. But yeah, I mean, I know the feeling we had last time we went over Liberty Field and it wasn't good, and I told the guys that last night, and that's where we ended our season, and so we can't dwell on what we just did, nor can we say it's a task we can't do. We just got to get better every day and roll up the sleeves and come in with the best game plan we can and see where pieces fall.
I was going to say that first game is probably not indicative. That Knox North Judson rivalry, I mean, you guys got a good one with them, but that's in another realm. I mean, I've been over there for those games. That gets scary at a level.
And I'm telling you, watching film, I mean, you see excitement on both sides.
Yeah.
It's, and that's great to see. I mean, sure, they're both my opponents, and we battle with them, but man, when those kids can be that excited on Friday night, that's what it's about. And those guys they take a big chip on their shoulder, that Stark County rival, and you see it, and you see it in the coaches. You see it across the board and watch that film. So I know for a fact that Judson is solid.
Yeah,
and those guys are big game experienced. Lambert, I feel we've got a relationship built up. He's got mutual respect back, and I'm just expecting a hard-nosed, fought 48, and we'll see where things fall.
It always is when you go over there. It seems like.
Great environment over there too.
Yeah.
They have fun. They love football. I mean, they love football. Their community loves football like our community loves football. So, it's just that's what you want.
Yeah. Well, Coach, thanks for talking to us this morning, and we'll catch up this week for the Thursday show, and good luck to you. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Russ. Appreciate it.
That is Jeff Kaiser, head coach at LaVille, and don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Justin Bogunia is next. And welcome back, Saturday Morning Coaches Show. Justin Bogunia, head coach at Bremen, joins us. The Bogunia here at Bremen starts 0-1, but I mean, you had a tough opponent, and it sounds like some things actually did go well for you.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of hinted about it the other night, right? A lot of guys coming back, a lot of seniors on their squad. I mean, give coach credit. They looked like they were in mid-season form, which you'd expect from a senior-dominated team. We made some mistakes. They capitalized on some turnovers, and before you know it, you're down a couple scores.
It just seems like it's probably opening night jitters, I would think. I mean, you've got a lot of guys that, they're out there for the first time on a Friday night.
Yeah, there's some of that for sure. In a couple young guys, their first time on the varsity football field. So getting that under their belt, we look to obviously get seasoned as the season goes on in that aspect, and just hopefully the game slows down a little bit for them. A couple first game mistakes. and when I say that, like first game varsity mistakes out there, whether it was I think just being rattled a little bit, and maybe once or twice we had a guy line up in the wrong spot, or a new guy, something like that. And then, like I said, we had a turnover, 2 turnovers that capitalized and turned into touchdowns. So, those things, then you get down a couple scores, and then you don't have a seasoned team, and before you know it, that doubt creeps in, and man, it's hard to overcome that when you're on the field in the game.
And like you said, veteran team you're playing against, it's just hard to rebound when a couple of things go the wrong way.
Right. And then we talked about it, had some good talks. Some of our seniors and our captains, kind of discussed with me after the game, just kind of some things, and kind of what they want to do, or as the leaders of the team to right the ship a little bit and to help the younger guys out. So that was promising and good to see. We did, we did some things well, like you said. Had some drives and some runs, some stalled where we just didn't convert. I think we got down in the first half, getting ready to go in, and then went for it on 4th down and just didn't complete the pass. So, like you said, there's some things that we can build on and roll into this week.
Talk about those things. I mean, what did you see that you did like from last night?
Well, like I said, we did get some drives with running the ball. The interior of the line during those drives kind of stepped up, and that's what we went. That's what we used and went behind with Parrish at tailback and then Miller at fullback. So just the grittiness and even though we're down a couple of scores right there, let's put this drive together. Let's get down the field. Let's try to score right before half. And even though their backs were against the wall, they didn't cave, right? Just keep fighting, and each coach will tell you that, right? Just give me a team that fights, and we'll get there. And so that's kind of what we're going to build on. Use that and get some grittiness and try to roll over into this Triton week.
That's kind of a Bremen MO, though. I mean, that grittiness, that you may have punched me, but I'm going to punch you back here in a minute. That's kind of what the whole program has been built on for decades.
Yeah, I agree. And you look at some of the, I guess the coaches and the carrying that, if you want to call it tradition or just that attitude with the team out on the field. I played for Marty Huber, and he was definitely that guy. Yeah. And I think that's always kind of stuck with me. And so I'll definitely try to carry that into my team and be that guy for them as well, or they'll become those guys, I guess I should say. And as the season, like I said, as the season goes on, I've always kind of prided myself on getting better, as each coach probably does. And so we look forward to next week and put this page behind us, learn our lessons, of course. There'll be a notebook full of things to improve on, and then try to departmentalize each one and implement it into practice to where we can focus on those skills or those things that we had deficit in on Friday night, and then turn them around to be a positive this Friday.
Let's look at that notebook of things that you need to work on. I mean, what are the things that you see as the top of the list in that?
I think one of the things, going into playing a wing tee, right, you have to be disciplined all the way across the board. Everything the wing tee kind of feeds off it. One play leads into another, right? So being disciplined on defense and trusting your eyes and reading your keys, a little bit of that. And then I think just drilling more about what we do as a defense. I think I look at this and, I say this week, right? Like that's what we talked about in the second half. This is, right now we're not battling the scoreboard, right? This is about us. The second half has to be about us. It has to be about what we're doing on the field, and focus on getting better, focus on improving in the second half. And so we'll carry that over to this week. And like I said, whether it's defensively, offensively, there's some blocking assignments missed, just things like that. It's the little things, right, that pile up and turn into big things.
And every coach I ever talked to, that's the mantra. It's the little things. You got to do the little things well.
Yep. Agree.
How do you feel about where you're at? Maybe mentally more than even physically. I mean, something like this, you get punched in that first game, and that could have a negative impact on where you're at in your headspace. I mean, how do you feel about that?
100%. There's no lie to that. You hit it right on the head, right? Everybody's questioning what we're doing or what's happening right now. And so it's just human nature. And the kids and, I'm sure the community or whatever, or the coaching staff, I'm sure it's creeped in. So that is definitely part of it. And, shoot, I'd lie if I didn't say, man, I wonder if I should do this or do that. And so you have to fight that urge and just kind of stick to, I think I am a little fortunate. I mean, I'm seasoned. It's not my first rodeo. It's not my first 0-1 start to a season. So I kind of, trust what I've been doing. And like I said, whenever things, fall behind or you go 0-1, then you just have to go back to your basics and what you believe in, and then stick to that. And then it doesn't matter what formation you run or what play you call or, those type of things. It's as long as you're fundamentally sound and you're consistent, right? To me, a young team or a team first coming in, the best thing you can give them is just consistency and right, and just be there and believe in what you do. You start showing that you're doubting what's going on, and then the kids are going to too. That's going to carry right over to the football field, and then before you know it, that just, who knows, it may just be one loss. Might roll into 3, 4, 5 in a row just because the doubt's there, where you may have been able to right the ship after 1 week if you just stuck to your beliefs and your fundamentals and what your offense and defense is doing. So I think there's a little bit of that. I mean, I'm sure there'll be some adjustments, but there's no wholesale change here, right? So we'll, like I said, we'll preach that, show them. One of the things that one of my first years, I'll never forget it. And obviously, it's nothing, it's nothing crazy, but John Hostrauser was the old seasoned veteran over at John Glenn, and I was first year coach at 23 years old, and he just kind of looked at me and was like, "Hey, listen, just take a moment." He's like, "It's never as bad as it seems. It's never as good as it seems after the game." He's like, "Watch film, take it in, and then let's go, right? Let's readjust." And so it's always held true. It's nothing, like I said, I'm sure he didn't come up with it. It's nothing, it's nothing new, but it's so true. When you look at, there'll be some good things on film. Right now, it doesn't feel like it, but when we sit down and go over everything with the players, there's guys that did good things out there. And then, let's note the bad things and correct them.
In talks I've had over the years, it seems that, if half of it is if you see your guys know where they're supposed to be and you can see the mental process of it, of I know this is what I'm supposed to do. The key is to get it so you can't see the mental process anymore. They just go do it. And
yes.
When you're doing something new, that's the hard point to get to.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, that's where Cherubusco is. It's a reflex right now, right, for them. You can see it. You got 17 seniors, 10 out of 11 starters are seniors, and it's just a reflex. So it's, they've been doing it for 4 years. I think we talked about it Thursday night, right? Everything's new for even the seniors this year. So we're still working to get to that point where let's not think, and we talk about that, right? Like let's just be aggressive. If we make mistakes, let's make it full speed, but let's try to get to that point where we're just reading and reacting. We're not thinking. So, yep, that's 100% true.
Yeah, just remember the old thing I've always heard is don't think, you weaken the ball club. And that's kind of the point you got to get to.
Yeah, I'm sure people were saying that about me. Don't think, Coach.
Usually it was in my direction when I was playing days. That was a don't think, you weaken the ball club.
Yeah.
But, man, well, thanks for taking it. It's not going to get any easier next week. You got Triton coming in, and they took one on the chin. They're going to come in with a chip on their shoulder. Yeah. And they've got some players. I mean, they got some really good athletes.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I think Coach just talked about it Thursday. He does. I mean, I know he's got some track guys. They got speed over there. And so, that old adage, speed kills. So we'll definitely be conscious of that. And then I think, without seeing anything and just going into this game, right, like try to contain the big play and make any team, grind it out and go 15, 18 play drives. And then, usually somewhere in there, ball's going to bounce your way, right, as a defense. So if we can do that, I imagine, again, without seeing any film, that'll be key to the Triton game. And then on our side, maybe we put together some 15 play drives and like I said, try to turn around and win. But you got two guys with their backs in the corner, and so they're going to come out fighting. So yes, it's going to kind of sets up for a tough game for us.
Well, man, thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it. We'll catch up during the week and talk a little bit about that game. That'll be our game of the week next week. So we'll be talking to you Friday night too. And, once again, thanks for taking the time, and we'll be in touch.
Anytime. Thank you.
That is head coach of Bremen, Justin Bogunia. Stay tuned. We will be right back. Andy Barker will join us next.
Absolute Plumbing, Heating, Cooling of Plymouth has become one of the leading service companies in northern Indiana. Serving Marshall, Stark, St. Joe, Fulton, LaPorte, Elkhart, and Kosciuszko County since 2014. They specialize in residential, commercial plumbing, heating, and cooling services. They also handle drain cleaning, water heater repair, commercial refrigeration, furnaces, generators, and much more. And they're the area's only York brand dealer. That's why Michiana has made Absolute Heating and Cooling their one-stop shop for service needs. Locally owned and operated with over 20 years of experience in the trade. Visit their website at absolutephc.com for complete service information. Absolute Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, the area's top York brand dealer. McDonald's restaurants in Plymouth and Bremen, Indiana are now owned and operated by local residents Bill and Flo Bolt. Bolt Enterprises are proud to own and operate all 4 McDonald's restaurants in Marshall County. Become part of the McDonald's family today with Bolt Enterprises McDonald's.
Culver's Portside Marina handles all water and recreational needs. When it comes to pontoons, Godfrey leads the industry in performance and quality, and Portside Marina has them in stock. From Sanpan, Aqua Patio, Sweetwater, and Monaco pontoons, if you're looking for a family boat, Culver's Portside Marina can help. Discover the evolution of the wake boat through luxury models offered from Centurion and Supreme Surf Boats. Yamaha Wave Runners and Kawasaki jet skis are on the showroom floor waiting. Located at 514 West Mill Street in Culver. Stop in or call them at 574-842-5000. Culver's Portside Marina.
Back live at the Saturday Morning Coaches Show, about 8:30. And that means it's time for us to talk to Andy Barker, the head coach at Triton. And talked with Jeff Kaiser a little bit earlier. He felt like they just played a really good game. And, you guys it was one of those nights.
Yeah, hats off to Jeff and the crew, man. They're well coached. Boys were ready when they came out, and some things went their way and some things didn't go our way, and we see the outcome.
Talk about it a little bit. I mean, the shutout has got to hurt a little bit, especially with the offense you got. I mean, what were they doing that was giving you problems?
I don't know if it was so much what they were doing. And while they executed their X's and O's very, very well, we did not execute ours as well as we should have. And, at one point in time, about middle of the third quarter, I'm talking to Arvison on the headset, and I'm like, am I calling that bad a game? Because if I am, let me know. And he's like, no, I mean, the everything's there. It's just a lack of execution on our end. And so I think it was more that. And then we'd get the ball moving. We make a couple of plays, and it felt like the momentum was turning. And, we throw an interception or, stall out.
Well, and the turnover thing, too. I mean, those are just not just killing drives and turning the ball over, but, I mean, the emotional downfall of that. I mean, it turns momentum the other way.
Yeah, it really does. It's funny. I was like, "Yep, got to go and talk to Rusty today." And LaVille won the two stat lines that matter. They won the score stat line and they won the turnover stat line. And we turned the ball over 4 times, I believe, and they only turned it over a couple of times. And then to your point, it's key points in the game. And they muffed a punt early in the first quarter, and we get it in good field position and dial up that fade route, and it's right in the hands of our wide receiver. And, he makes that catch, and the momentum's different. The feel of the game's different. Do we still come out on top? I don't know. But, we're up 7-0 in the first quarter if we make that catch, and who knows?
Yeah, on the road to take that first score is just, you're right. That is a huge, huge one to not get.
Yeah, and then conversely, I don't know, a couple of drives later, we muff a punt and they recover it, and then they're able to turn that into 6 or 7 points. And so, there's your, hey, we had them, and then, oh crap, we don't have them, and now they have us.
Talk about what you did like. I mean, there had to be things that you saw that you feel really good about.
Yeah, it's there were a couple of diamonds in the rough, I guess, if you will, in this whole thing. Jaden Overmeyer played a heck of a game, man. The kid's passion for football clearly comes out on Friday nights. And then Colton Reynolds, like I said the other night at the Yellow Tap, man, he is the heart and soul of this team, and he showed up and played every down. I don't know if he even came off the field until the very end when we knew we weren't going to be able to get back in it. So that's special. That's hard to find these days.
What do you feel was the problem on offense? Was it just not execution? Did it look like everybody knew what they were supposed to do? It just didn't quite mesh.
I think there's a little bit of still the uncertainty and learning. I came in and kept quite a bit of what they did terminology wise, but yet it's still new, right? Like, the boys didn't run power last year, and like I said the other night, we're a power team. So some of it was X's and O's, some of it was moving some guys around. Vinny Prater went to left guard, and he's been a stud running back here for several years, but we're so light on the line, and the scrimmage kind of gave us some things that we needed to work on. And so, he goes there last week, and there's a learning curve there as well. Yeah. And so, yeah, some of it's execution, some of it's knowing where we're going and what we're doing. And some of it, and then I just told the athletic director here, some of it's offensively needs to be my play calling. There's nothing conservative about me. Obviously, considering what I do for a living, risk is not an issue. And so, when we started to feel that momentum change, I'd say, all right, here we go. And it didn't work out in our favor. There were a couple of crazy calls, things that I've never seen in my career, or lack thereof calls. And so, you're battling that on top of the storm you're in. And so, yeah.
What is going to be on the top of the list for the coaching points this week? I mean, what is the key things you think you got to get better at?
Again, here we are back to that word execution. It's knowing where to be And then once you get there, being able to finish whatever it is your task is within that mission. And, if you're supposed to pull and kick, then you need to pull and make sure that when you get in front of that guy, you're sending him the correct direction. A lot of our stuff, our guys look tired, almost to the point where, our cardio isn't high enough. And that's what's tough about being a 1A program. Our boys are all going both ways, and the game's changed enough that it takes a lot of conditioning to be able to go out on a Friday night and play both ways and do it well. So, us as a coaching staff need to look at how we can rotate some more of our boys in just to give some of our starters a breather.
And at a school the size of Triton, that's a problem, because you got good numbers, but once again, not like a Penn or something like that where you got all kinds of guys you can just run in and out. I mean, that's a tough one.
Yeah, it's been the biggest learning curve for me, I think, here. All the programs that I've been at, whether it was Marion or Riley or Plymouth, we had 80 plus kids, and you just didn't have those types of issues. And so, it's almost like Plymouth back in the 90s when I was playing. Arvidsson and I never came off the field. Yeah. And for whatever reason, obviously time changes or goes on. It's like I don't remember being tired, and I know I was, because I'm sure John Pettibone will text me and say, you remember in Rochester when I told you to suck it up? This was one of those times. So, yeah. So, it's just a little bit of, a learning curve, I guess.
Do you think that's going to come with repetition? I mean, that you're talking about execution. I mean, sometimes it's just a matter of getting enough reps, and then all of a sudden it clicks.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. It's just a time on target, as we would say in my world. There's nothing you can't simulate reps.
Yeah,
and only to a degree, right? So a lot of that is just being in the fire and going one at a time. And, as time marches on here this season, our boys, the ceiling's super high for this team as long as we can stay healthy. And we're adapting as a staff, and the boys are adapting to who we are. Yeah, I think we're going to end up just fine. It's just a matter of getting where we want to be.
I was going to say one thing that you got to feel good about. You got athletes. I mean, you mentioned Obermeyer and Prater. Your quarterback, Gage Riffle, is an outstanding athlete. You just got a lot of guys that are athletic, and they've been through a lot of fires.
Yeah, they're it's athletically we're special, and even like Isaac Quintana, right? Like he's the one that unfortunately dropped that ball in the end zone, and I just got to get in front of him today and be like, look, dude, failure is 100% part of life and very much part of football. And, one thing kind of led into another for us in that situation. He doesn't catch that, and then he slips on a comeback route and that would have hit him in the chest. And then, he drops one on a hitch, and this was all in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And again, that's going to happen. Like he's our number one receiver. It's not even a question. We just got to get him to where he's feeling confident enough that, okay, I still dropped this one, but I'm going to go catch the next one. And same deal with our other guys. We have plenty of weapons. Again, Jaden had a great night last night. We'll dial in him, and it's not like that's a secret going around. Like we're going to dial him up. One that's not as on the radar, simply because of Jaden, is our backup running back. Ryder Gayhart he's a special kid. He's one that he's got what I call it. Like there's certain guys that move on a field that just look different. Another throwback name for you, Eddie Rodriguez. Yeah, we're going to see him this weekend, but he just moved differently on the field, and Ryder has that. So, and last night at times, he'll come in at slot for us, and he'll get the ball. So, yeah, man, you're not wrong. We got a ton of weapons at this point. It's like, okay, head coach, offensive coordinator, how do you handle all that? So,
well, I mean, with Quintana, in my mind, you go to him and say, son, we're coming back to you. Don't worry about it. That's all over with. You're still our guy.
Yeah, and he absolutely is, and he will continue to be all year. So we'll get him dialed up, and he'll be okay.
Looking ahead, you got to you're going to be at home at least against Bremen, but once again, this become a little bit of a rivalry, Triton and Bremen, and it's a tough game. I mean, they are. Well, they're rebuilding, I guess, is you could say that, but it's Bremen. They rebuild different than other people. They're still pretty good. How do you feel about that coming up next week?
Yeah, Bremen's got that tradition very much like LaVille. They're going to come in and blue collar and try to punch you in the mouth. And how are you going to respond to that? The strength of that program is their line. Coach said it the other night in our meeting, but they're young in the backfield, but they're experienced on the line. And at the end of the day, you got to win the trench. And last night proved that to us. So, for us, it's just let's figure out what's going on up front and make sure we're good to go. I know Bremen dropped one to Cherubusco, but I think Cherubusco is pretty good. So It's not like that's not going to be a good measuring stick for us. And so, we'll game plan here starting tomorrow and figure out what we're going to do.
Well, man, you're our game of the week next week, so we'll be talking during the week at some point, I hope, if you're still talking to me. And
yeah, buddy, come on.
We'll get ready for Friday night, and if we don't see you before, we'll see you then.
All right, buddy, I appreciate you.
Andy Barker, head coach at Triton, and stay there. We'll be right back.
There's a trend happening around the educational world. More and more high school graduates are attending smaller community colleges to start their educational journey. At Marian University's Ancilla College, we welcome students from all walks of life. The opportunities at Marian University are endless, from living on campus to being a collegiate student athlete. From day one, your professors will help you create a plan for a success at Marian and beyond. Find out more about Marian University's Ancilla College through our website at marian.edu/Ancilla today.
Your morning, it deserves more than just coffee. It deserves Big B coffee. From velvety lattes to our famous sweet foam cold brews, every sip is brewed with love, laughter, and a splash of fun. All first responders and veterans receive a free brewed coffee and 20% off their entire order. Students and teachers receive 10% off with a valid school ID. Have the best day ever by stopping in to your family favorite local coffee shop, where every cup comes with a smile and every day starts brighter. Stop in today and let's make it a big day. Big B Coffee, have the best day ever. Located on Columbus Drive in Plymouth.
Back live on the Saturday Morning Coaches Show, and with us a guy who's got to be happy this morning. Ron Brown joins us, the head coach at Glenn. I tell you, man, looking at your score was gaudy enough, but then I saw Archer Russ' numbers, and he had a heck of a night.
Yeah, Archer did a great job. Hats off to the offensive line for, doing that, and hats off to our offensive staff with great play calls.
I mean, 43 in the first game. I mean, that is sending a statement to your schedule.
I mean, like I said, when we talked at the Plymouth, Yellow River Tap, our kids are salty and they're out to prove that they are a good football team.
I mean, a couple of touchdowns passing, a couple rushing, 92 and 92 yards passing and rushing for Russ. That's a great night, obviously. But you had 346 yards of total offense. That's a gaudy number on opening night. I mean, you had to have some other guys that were hitting on all cylinders, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Braden Benwell, he did a great job, rushing. He didn't get a bunch of touches, but he still ripped off 68 yards for a touchdown. Blake Faulkner came in and just pounded the ball. He did a great job. Damian Salinas, again, came in, pounded the ball, did a good job. Deegan Conroy got a carry. Anthony McWigan got some carries and got some numbers there, So that was great running the ball. We spread it around, got a lot of kids involved. And then, receiving-wise, Aaron Turnage pulled down a touchdown, and so did Benwell again. And then Blake Wright decided he was sick of playing defense and wanted to get in on some of the offensive action. And he he found his way to the end zone and got a few receptions. So it's always a good thing when you can get multiple kids involved. That's the payoff for all the hard work, all the reps, all the things that you do in the summer to have some success.
Yeah, and it's also got to be good to get those guys out there and get them meaningful game touches early, because you never know when you're going to need them in a key situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's not like, these guys were, scoring in garbage time or anything. We were playing the game how we would have normally called the game and doing our rotations. And so this is just the outcome of what happened based on what the defense gave us.
We've spent the time so far talking about the offense, but your defense threw a shutout as well. And, I talked to a couple of the coaches this morning, and coaches I've talked to over the years say that the times of shutouts are going to become few and far between because of how much emphasis is put on offense in the game, even at high school level this year. So, that's got to be a feather in your cap too.
Well, absolutely. Again, hats off to our defensive staff. Our DC, Tom Bendy, had a great game plan that he, had drawn up for all of us defensive coaches, and the kids executed it, and they executed it, well. I'm going to, relook over the stats, but, when you can put a team in negative 24 yards of total offense, that's a good thing. Yeah. And we didn't expect that. They had some very, very large humans on the other team there, and they gave us some fits early on both sides of the ball there, but getting a lot of the kids involved and having constant waves coming at them, I think that boded well with us, and that was part of our game plan. Again, getting a lot of kids involved and giving them situations in which they can be successful. That's kind of the outcome we got. And that's, comes from my assistant coaches being with some of these kids for a very, very long time, all the way down to junior Falcon League, knowing what they can do. And then, from my standpoint, having another year under my belt with these kids, it kind of lets you know what they can and can't do so that you don't put them in a bad situation.
Right. That is, you bring that up, and that resonates with me. One of the hardest things you have as a coach is to give kids bites they can chew, because if you throw them in with the sharks right away, it can destroy anything they may have been able to accomplish, because it can beat them mentally.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. I'm just happy that I have a few sharks on my team, and having Blake Wright and Aiden Smigowski trolling the middle was very fun to watch them do their work yesterday. And then coming off the edge, we had Blake Faulkner coming off the edge, and Eli Wallace coming off the edge. We had a ton of kids coming off the edge trying to make plays, and so that was great. And then having one of our super sophomores step up and get a few picks, and Aiden White, that was great. I'm glad that they watched tape and they thought that they could pick on our sophomore, and that proved to be a bad outcome for them.
I'm sure there are things on the list that you feel like you need to work on. I mean, what did you see last night that you feel like you got to get better at?
Well, it's all the little things. It's all the little things that we got to get better at. We got to get better at not tackling, to take out on the first hit, gang tackling. We need to get better at that. We need to get better at blocking. We need to get better at executing the small things. We need to get better at following our blocks. All the normal things that you would say that any team in their first game would need to get better at. We need to do those things. The score, yeah, that's what happened. But I would say that we were looking to do some things on offense and defense that we weren't able to accomplish because we're not quite there yet. And so we're going to use, this whole next week to try to sharpen our knives and be ready for next week. And, everyone knows that from week 1 to week 2, that's the biggest jump in programs. And so we're looking to try to be better than the version we were this Friday or this last Friday, next Friday.
How do you feel about where you're at? You think you're ahead of the curve now?
Absolutely not. We're nowhere near where we want to be. We play in a very competitive conference. We play very tough teams all the way through our schedule. We have to do the little things right. We have to constantly improve, or we will not have another outcome like this. And our kids know that, and we're hungry to get better, and our coaching staff's hungry to get better. And, it was really a fun atmosphere last night and all that, but if we want to see anything like that again, we got to put in the work. So we're nowhere close to where we want to be.
Next week, you got another one that's going to be a tough one. Fairfield, you got them at home, but that's a big one to keep this rolling. Tell me about what. I'm sure you haven't had a chance to break them down yet, but what do you know about Fairfield?
Well, I mean, it's going to be a huge flock of Falcons here at John Glenn High School. So, Fairfield, they're big. They're really, really big. And they've got some really talented wide receivers that I'm guessing probably play basketball because they can go up and high point the ball. And they have athletes. They're going to have a huge roster. They have great participation over there. And Corey Stoner coming from Jimtown, I'm going to, expect that it's going to have a Jimtown flavor to it, like when he was over there. And they're going to come downhill, and they're going to pound you, and they're going to nail you with trap, and they're going to hit you with ISO, and they're going to line up and say, here we come, stop it, and what are you going to do about it? And then they're going to hit you play after play, when they're on defense. So Fairfield's a good school, good football program. I mean, they went over, they played Goshen, who I think is a 5A football program, and they beat them. So obviously they're a good team, and they have a good culture over there, and they have had a good culture all the way since Bob Miller was there. And so I expect this to be one heck of a game, and if we liked the score that we had this week, well, probably don't get used to it because it's going to be a slugfest.
Yeah. Well, and they play over in that Elkhart County hotbed too, like you mentioned, Jimtown, Goshen, Concord. I mean, there's a lot of football over there.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of talented people, a lot of deep traditions of doing well on the gridiron, and so I expect them to be a very, very good school. They're always looking to win their conference over there, and you always see what's going to happen when them and West Noble match up for the whole, I think what is this, State Road 30 or whatever it is, battle that they have there. But yeah, they're always in the mix.
Well, Coach, thanks for joining us this morning, and we'll be in touch this week for the Thursday show, and good luck to you next week.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
It's Ron Brown, the head coach at John Glenn, and stay there. We will be right back. Looking for a stable career in an industry that doesn't slow down? Hoosier Racing Tire in Plymouth, Indiana is seeking motivated people who believe in quality and want to work in a safe environment. With thorough training provided for all positions, no experience needed. Second, third, and weekend shift production wages start around $20 an hour, with potential at $25 an hour within a year. Quarterly bonuses, paid time off, and health insurance benefits that start on day one. Apply online at HoosierTire.com. That's HoosierTire.com. Hoosier Tire is an equal opportunity employer.
Who doesn't like pizza, right? But have you tried the pizza at Bourbon Street Pizza lately? More fresh ingredients and a new pizza sauce recipe. It's like a slice of heaven each and every time you take a bite. And now there's 16 new style of pizzas for you to choose from on the menu. And let's not forget the mouth-watering wings or their 5 different pasta dishes to choose from. Bourbon Street Pizza with area locations in Plymouth, Culver, Argos, Walkerton, Napanee, and in Bourbon. If you're looking for a quick and delicious dinner for the entire family to enjoy, look no further than a Bourbon Street Pizza location near you.
So I can get in my own way.
We're We're with Argos soccer head coach Todd Vanderweel. Tell you what, man, it's good to hear your voice again. It's been a whole year without talking. I always enjoy our talks.
Yes, during the season, I don't know, maybe I should coach more than I do. No, I'm just kidding. One season's enough. But, yeah.
Well, and you are underway. I mean, let's start talking about your off season. I know that's always big. And you know, I talked to Ty a little bit earlier. He said that the weather kind of, you know, set them back a little bit in his mind because they didn't get to play as many games because it was so hot. I mean, did you have the same problem?
We did not. We played every game that we had. We in the summer, we were able to get in. You know, some of them were modified. You know, like by that, I mean the referees and the coaches agreed beforehand that we would, you know, if the halves were 35 minutes, that between 15th and 20th minute each half, we would stop and the kids would get a water break. So we were able to get all of ours in. And I thought we had I didn't push the kids too hard, but I didn't have any, you know, easy games either. So, and you know how the summer goes. Some, you know, kids are on vacation this week. Kids are going to the state fair next week, or they're, you know, they've got other, the 4-H fair, they've got other activities. So in the summer, you know, sometimes you're taking whoever's around, which is okay. It helps some other kids develop. So, but I think we had a good summer. We were lucky in that sense. Some of the days, there was a week in July where it seemed like we were inside 3 or 4 days in a row, but we were able to get a lot done playing futsal, which is a version of indoor soccer on a basketball court, basically with a heavier ball that doesn't bounce as much.
Right.
So I think we were able to get some stuff done in the summer that I think that maybe normally being inside, I think it actually helped us get a little bit further along. I mean, we still have a ways to go. I'm never think that we're there in the first game in the season, but I think it helped us a little bit, you know, a little confidence on the ball, and I think we're ready to go.
You have a tough beginning to your season, too. I mean, even before you get into your conference stuff, you got the rivalry game with Plymouth that happens real quick. I mean, how do you feel about your start so far?
Well, you know, always we haven't. It's been a while since we've beaten Plymouth, or even, you know, last year the game started off close for the first 20 or 30 minutes, and then it got out of hand. I was really happy the other night. We did make a lot of mistakes, but we stayed in the game. We didn't give up after mistakes. We did we put ourselves in the hole we were in with just some small mistakes. But a good team like Plymouth, that's what they'll do. They'll just take advantage of the mistakes you make and punish you. So, you know, it's a good game for us to get some experience, to kind of remember how the game goes. The fighting spirit for 80 minutes, I really liked. You know, the weather was not super hot, but there was still a lot of fatigue at the end, and we were still able to focus and work through that. So it's a really good start. To give up 3 goals to a school that's a lot bigger than us, 2 classes up, I'm really happy with that. And I think that's going to be a good push forward the first part of this season, so we get off to a strong start.
How do you feel about where you're at? Did you get done what you wanted in the off season? Are you on schedule? Or, I mean, I know things are going to develop as the year goes on, but you feel like you're on schedule for that development right now?
I actually, you know, too much in sports is made of the X's and O's and, you know, plays that an individual player can make. And sometimes the bigger issue is how kids are connecting as teammates. You know, do they have that? Do they realize that you have to work hard, but you can't just work as hard as you feel? You have an opponent that you have to work at least as hard at or try to outwork. And those things, I do think that, I'm not saying that we're where I want us to be, but we have made strides there, good strides. And this team has to do that. We lost a lot of technical players last year, guys that could put the ball in the net, guys that could break, you know, we could string passes together with, and we could really hold the ball. So we've got to, I want to get back to that. We've got a lot of new faces that are filling some holes, and I envision it, you know, it's going to take a little time because that's how those things work. But I think that by the end of the season, I think that we will be possessing the ball similar to what we did last year.
I got to imagine that, you know, in some ways you're a little bit ahead of the curve on that anyway, because there's such a strong youth program and you're involved with that and all your assistants are involved with that. And so those kids, even when they're like 6, 7 years old, they're getting a taste of what you're going to want from them.
Well, and that's the idea. I mean, it's familiarity, and soccer is a little bit different, at least to me, than other sports. You know, basketball, football, they have playbooks. Soccer, I kind of like it free flowing. Now there's some things you have to do to get the kids to understand that, you're not supposed to be like in a basketball play. You go from spot A to spot B at this particular time, but there are other things. You can't stand and watch everybody. Yeah. Instead, you have to have a good technique. You have to be able to handle the ball. And so those are the kind of things that you try to instill with, the young kids, still having a game is fun to them, but still trying to just teach them the basics. And then they'll grow from there. But that definitely is a help. Some kids, we don't have the opportunities we had, years ago, because the travel opportunities in Argos specifically aren't nearly there like they were 5 or 6 years ago. The travel club folded, so everything's kind of underneath the Argos soccer umbrella, which is great. But I feel like we're on our way to getting to where we're wanting the kids to have fun when they're, first, second, third, and fourth grade, but yet teaching them something as well.
Right. Talk about your guys a little bit. I mean, who's kind of emerged as your leaders and your guys you're going to be going to this year?
So we have both center backs have returned. Corbin Rex will be a senior is a senior this year. Makai Austin's a junior. We had a pretty good defensive record last year for the most part. The goals we gave up I think we gave up maybe 20 or 22 all year, but 11 of those were against the Academy and Plymouth. And so I thought we had a pretty good defensive record. So they're back. Sawyer Crace has returned. And at the moment, he's our number one goalkeeper. He had a good night. He had one mistake against Plymouth, but he had a really good night. So that strength right there helps us, puts us back to a little bit of a level that we were last year. So we have to worry about possessing, but we don't have to worry about the defenders as much. Kenyon Belden has really stepped into that playmaker role. He kind of deferred probably to Petz and Ethan Petz and Ben Zom the last couple of years, and now it's his kind of show. And I think he's had a heck of a summer. He's really grabbed a hold of just trying to make any play he can to help us be successful. Kyle Penn, he was a starting back last year, played quite a bit as a sophomore. He's moved up the field. Now he's in the midfield, full of energy. He's really improved. He's a lot more comfortable on the ball. He's reading the game much better. He's making plays. He's very fast and quick. He's very good. So that helps him in recovering. If he gets pushed up too far or he happens to get beat, he can recover and get back into the play. So those three guys, Yohan Petz scored the other day. He's been trying to work on his finishing. He's good at being in the right position. It's just a little bit of confidence with him. So hopefully this will get him going, because I think he can give us 10 or 15 goals if he can believe in himself. So we got Makai, Kyle. And then we've got some younger guys, Keegan Stanley's back. I think he had 12 or 13 goals last year on the outside. So that's a huge help. He's a senior now. He's a big, strong kid. He's really grown. Probably the best striker of the ball we have. If he can pick a long pass for us, he can, he puts a little bit of pressure on the defense with longer shots. And he's fast and quick, and he can really attack down the flank. So, and then we've got some younger guys, Yo-Yo Fajardo, sophomore. He's stepped in, and he's really grown. He's really good on the ball for us. Connects well with Kenyon and the back four. And Joel Trump stepped into one of the outside back positions, and he's a junior as well. And he's really starting to get confident and grow in that position as well. So we do have some inexperience, but they're guys I think that with a little bit of playing time are going to relax and do well in those roles.
It's funny, a lot of those names I recognize from other sports too, and I know you feel the same way I do. You learn to compete by competing and not just playing one sport. And a lot of those guys have been through the fire for a year now or more, and even in other sports.
Yeah, they definitely playing other sports or definitely being active, playing competition, especially in high school all year long, is definitely a benefit. It's been 10 or 12 years. I had teams that a lot of guys didn't play other sports. But in the winter, they were playing club stuff all winter and spring long. But I think the other sport, it's a little bit different competition. It kind of makes your mind think differently. Your body's, defending in soccer and defending in basketball are two different things. So if you play both sports, you're just working your mind and your body in different ways. And I just think that helps, you develop as an athlete in general.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your schedule a little bit here, too, because it's not like you got a cakewalk. I mean, like, there's a couple of coaches that always say to me, hey, we don't have a lot of confidence builders on our schedule, and you really don't either. Talk about that, and, you know, physically it can be a grind.
Well, and it can be. We have 20 kids. I mean, last year my biggest fear was an injury. This year, I think we ended up with 23 or 24 kids last year. This year we have 20, and that's even more of a concern now. But, you know, our schedule, we've got some games against teams in our classes. Then we step up, and we played Plymouth already, played Bremen, and, you know, they tied Plymouth earlier this week, and they're always a good team. And the academy, of course, they're going to be strong because they seem like that, you know, they've been on that run for the last couple of years, and the athletes they get make it so hard for us to play against. But it's a fun game. We've been playing each other since 1963, so it's always a fun game. And we play Northwestern, which is another 2A school, and we play Bethany Christian, of course, which has one of the best players in our area and is playing in the 2A tournament this year. They've stepped up from the success factor. So it's a good schedule. I think it's a good schedule to prepare us for the sectional. There's some games that we can stay at our level a little bit and compete, and then there's some games we really got to step up and play with the, you know, bigger schools and the stronger athletes, and, you know, and try to get something out of those games. And by that, initially, I mean playing with confidence and making it hard for them to beat us, and then ultimately beating one or two of them if we can.
Well, man, I want to thank you for taking the time talking to us. I hope you'll be able to do this as the year goes on. We're going to check in with you and see how you're doing now and then, and good luck to you as you move forward.
That sounds great, Rusty. It's always good to talk to you, and anytime you need something from me, I'm always around.
Well, very good. It's Todd Vanderbilt, head coach at Argos, and stay right there.
Absolute Plumbing, Heating, Cooling of Plymouth has become one of the leading service companies in northern Indiana. Serving Marshall, Stark, St. Joe, Fulton, LaPorte, Elkhart, and Kosciuszko County since 2014. They specialize in residential, commercial plumbing, heating, and cooling services. They also handle drain cleaning, water heater repair, commercial refrigeration, furnaces, generators, and much more. And they're the area's only York brand dealer. That's why Michiana has made Absolute Heating and Cooling their one-stop shop for service needs. Locally owned and operated with over 20 years of experience in the trade. Visit their website at absolutephc.com for complete service information. Absolute Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, the area's top York brand dealer.
And it's time to announce this week's Tony the Boss Ross Athlete of the Week. It's something new we've started this year here at Max 98.3. We give it in the honor of a longtime Marshall County and Max 98.3 broadcaster, died suddenly a year ago, long before his time. His legacy of dedication to his craft, his unending work ethic, devotion to the athletes and the coaches in this area will never be matched, never be forgotten. And that's a legacy we honor each week with this award. And we'll tell you who this year's first winner is right after a word from Johnson Danielson.
Johnson Danielson Funeral Home has been established in the community of Plymouth since 1879, and its staff is committed to providing care that goes beyond the expected in serving today's families who call Marshall County their home. They welcome families seeking options and alternative ways to pay tribute to someone, from burial packages to pre-planning to planning a checklist. The professionals, along with caring staff at Johnson Danielson, are available to assist your family 24 hours a day by simply calling 574-936-2829. Visit their website at johnsondanielson.com for a complete list of services. Johnson Danielson Funeral Home. Service beyond expectation.
And a special thanks to Johnson Danielson for sponsoring this award. And the very first winner of the Tony the Boss Ross Player of the Week, volleyball player at Bremen for the Lady Lions, Sara Sahlhoff, who realized a huge milestone in her career with her 1,000th dig over the weekend at South Central. And by the way, Bremen's undefeated in volleyball so far this year. They won 3 straight and took the title at South Central last weekend. I believe it was last night. Took a straight set win over Central Noble. So they've got 4-0 so far on the year. And Sara Sahlhoff will be our Tony the Boss Ross, Athlete of the Week. She'll receive a certificate, History of the Award, a T-shirt commemorating this achievement. We're going to feature her as a guest on next week's Saturday Morning Coaches Show, and she'll be eligible for our Tony the Boss Ross Max 98.3 Athlete of the Year award we give at the end of the year, at the end of the spring, and that carries with it a plaque, but also a college scholarship, and that's compliments of Max 98.3 and our wonderful sponsor, Johnson Danielson Funeral Home, in the name of Tony the Boss Ross, the Max 98.3 Athlete of the Week, brought to you by Johnson Danielson Funeral Home here in Plymouth. That's going to do it for the Saturday Morning Coaches Show here today. Next week, don't forget, our game of the week is at Triton, where the Trojans take on Bremen. That is a 6:30 start, a 7 o'clock kickoff, 6:30 for our pregame. Joe McKee will join me with the play-by-play call over there from Triton on Friday. Don't forget Thursday night. We have Thursday Night Lights. We'll do a similar thing to what we did this morning. We'll go around Marshall County. We'll talk to each of the local football coaches, and we'll preview all their upcoming Friday night games. That will be Thursday night at 7 right here on Max 98.3. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. And have yourselves a great rest of the weekend. You're listening to Max 98.3.